Okay, can I have your attention? We're going to do our drawings now, and then we will get going and get started with our afternoon session. First, I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing. And this last prize is $100 off the purchase at Rover Film. So and that goes to Gary Garrett. Just come see me before you leave at the registration table so that I can make sure that I have your names on the right things, so that we send them your email addresses and then they will contact you with the information on it. Everyone else, you should have an email from me or from the Eventbrite site this morning, and then another one you'll get this afternoon. That there is a digital swag bag that has a lot of discounts in there, and then there's also a giveaway that they're giving away where you can at the local level. So if you take a look at that, make sure you look at those. And we will find out the way you're getting started, but and we really are this time. I appreciate all of you. And this will be the last official reminder for me. So again, thank you everybody for coming to
doors open here.
Great idea. I got it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you need to go present. Right? You should go for that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I might want to do that. Thank you.
You would be. You were right.
Wendy, this is Sean and Jacob.
How you doing?
Yeah, nice to meet you. Oh,
Y'all ready to start a new song? You all on the way? So you're on the way? Yeah. They said you see the first When was the last song?
Supposed to be 115. Interesting. Pretty good so far. Bradley? You're still here?
I graduated 2 years ago. Oh, we just hired you.
Right.
Yes.
figure out what the problem is. Doing like an early prototype. Testing
Good afternoon. How's everybody today? Good. Well, today we're gonna talk about something that I think all of us struggle with, at least from my experience and my history. So I thought I would tell you a little bit about myself and then kind of jump into an exercise that will hopefully drive you and your organization to another level when it comes to evaluative research, usability testing, and kind of that side of the house. So I thought I would first start out and just give you a little history about me. So I actually started working at a interactive agency, and my first job, this was like right when the web was coming online, and I was working with a lot of ad agencies trying to figure out how do we translate these huge graphic novels into websites and then develop some software. And then I actually went for about a year until Napster happened. So the first time I was put out of a job was September 11th. Nobody wanted to buy a website. So then I jumped to this place called ClevelandHits.com. I was one of the world's first IJs, internet jock. Wore a bag on my head. I was called Unknown IJ. Yeah, it's true. You can look it up. And then this place went out of business because of Napster. So when Napster was launched, all the royalties were owed to the artist, and they were on air for like 4 or 5 years, so they could nowhere pay that. So then I ended up going over to Progressive Insurance, and I was trained in their usability lab. This is really when I feel like I started understanding the power of usability testing and user research, and actually Jeff Janis, who's still there, like 37 years running that lab, actually started UXBA Cleveland. At the time it was called Neopa, so I was one of the first members of that back in the day. And then Insurance.com was created out of, basically Progressive, and this is where this company grew huge and then was sold to someone in California, so I was out of a job again. And then I went over to the Cleveland Institute of Art, and I was in charge of building all of their digital assets online and transforming their organization into digital. In the past, they were accepting all of their applicants were sending in CD-ROMs, believe it or not, back in 2008, and there wasn't anything digital. So transform that organization, and then I've been at Highland Software for the last 7 years, and I was the first titled user experience designer at Highland a few years ago. So I've been down this path of generative research, evaluative research, doing a lot of usability testing, and I've seen some struggles out there. And the number one struggle I see is, how do I do usability testing, and how often can I keep usability testing going? By a raise of hands, how many people here would say you're continually doing usability testing? Got a couple hands. All right. It's a challenge. And the biggest thing I've found is getting people, getting recruits, getting folks to actually volunteer their time. So I wanted to give you some insight into what I've been working on, and hopefully it will help you. So right now I want everyone, if you just for a moment, just close your eyes for a second, just 1 second. I don't want you to fall asleep, but I do want you to just cleanse your mind. And now if you open your eyes, I want you to think in your mind a first impression when you see this logo. Then I'm going to have you continually do this just a couple times here. I'm going to flick through, and I want you just think in your mind when you see this logo. Just in your mind, what are you thinking? Seen this one a lot, right? Seen this one a lot. But there's something you're thinking when you're seeing it. Probably something you're thinking when you see this one. Maybe one more. All right, a lot. Just one more after this. So, all those logos went through your mind. Of the logos that I shared with you, how many, by raise of hands, were fans of most of those? All right. How many people were kind of in the middle? And how many people were like, no way? All right, hand up there. So they're giving you, an impression. And what I anticipate is that there are fans, I would call you fans, of those particular organizations and groups. And it's basically you're willing to keep paying for more things if those companies create them. And you're a fan. So today I want you to think about how your organization, how you can attract fans just like those big organizations and get people to help you and volunteer their time to give feedback to you. That's the challenge I found, is finding people that will actually donate their time. And here's an individual. Does everybody know who this individual is? I'm seeing some hands. Mr. Howard Stern. Now, there's some people that say, I love him. There's some people say they hate him. But there are some people that, even though they dislike him, still listen to him because they want to know what he's saying. And my point is, there's a lot of different fans. There can be fans that really support the product. There can be fans that may not support the product, but they still are interested to know what's happening. So, if you define this fanatic, a fan, you will see that the secondary one is probably the one that you're thinking of most likely, which is, I've got this obsessive interest and enthusiasm for something. And when you start doing that, what happens is you start collecting things. Things just start happening. Like, I really like baseball, and I'm gonna start collecting cards. How many people here collected baseball cards back in the day? See some hands up there. I realized that this is early information architecture, right? You're organizing these by maybe the team, maybe by the position, but in essence, you're a fan. You're collecting things. How did I do a throwback here? See if anybody remembers these. Remember the Garbage Pail Kids? Yeah. We collected these. A lot of them. They're really gross. I had to pick out the ones that weren't totally go over the line. But, you're trading these, you're getting these, and then this is still alive today. Believe it or not, Pokemon is still out there. I mean, this is huge. And by the way, this last card made me laugh a lot. Can you see it? Uxie? Or Uxie? What's their superpower?
It depends.
Thank you. I'm glad you got that. But it's, what's challenging about this is that, as a fan, you really love something, and when something changes, I remember back in the day, if we have any heavy metal fans out there, oh my gosh, Metallica cut their hair, they sold out. There's always something when you're a fan. But being a fan means that, you really love something. So my thought to you is, let's turn that around. Let's say we really love our football team. What if we spun it around and said, really love your customer? Be a fan of your customers and think about, how can I get them involved? How can I, collect their trading cards just as well? I got Taylor Jackson here, maybe I need to focus on how I can do a better management of the customers that are willing to share their feedback because they really, really love the product. And that's something that I've been working on for the last 5 years, and then over the last few months I've been formalizing it into a singular UX research program at Highland. And what I found is, fans really are the best participants. And if you think about it, like I said earlier, there are some fans that really love your product, and there are some fans that have to use your product but may not be the #1 fan of it, but they are still interested, if you think about the Howard Stern example. So the first one is that they're really passionate about the product. You know, they want to help, will do whatever. There's a large subset of that. There's also, as I said, varying levels of support. So, you know, in the past I've heard, well, if we have all our fans, they're going to tell us everything that's right, and they're just going to keep patting us on the back. Well, that's not necessarily true all the time, and I'll talk about some other methods that I'm doing to ensure that this bias or this impression on research is not happening. And then I think this last one is, it's so true that they're willing to volunteer to improve the thing they use. And they really want to help improve. So they'll volunteer that 30 minutes of time. And that's something that I discovered. I discovered that fans are willing to donate 30 minutes of their time. Most of my tests are remote and moderated, and people will donate 30 minutes of their time because they're doing it from their desk, but that's about it. 30 minutes is the max. But if you think about it, you can get a lot done in that 30 minutes of time, and it's amazing that if people love your product, however you want to define that, they will give that time up. So the challenge, though, is what I keep hearing a lot is I want to do usability testing. I want to do a card sort. I want to do one of these research activities, but I can't find anybody. Well, it's because it's a bottleneck, and I would say the UX bottleneck would be it's figuring out who to recruit, how to find them, schedule appointments, getting them to show up. It's challenging. It really is hard. I mean, I've had to come up with a lot of tactics, and also there's some best practices out there that I want to continue to share with you today. But this is a definite challenge, and this is one of the top things. A couple years ago, I did a talk at the same conference, and I started a whiteboard. I think it was in this same exact room of some of the top reasons why usability testing doesn't happen. And it's generally time, money. Sometimes people don't value UX research, but I think a lot of it is just, I'm not sure how to do it. So my thought was today sharing you some of the things that I've found success with. So Steve Krug, you know, he wrote a couple books, Don't Make Me Think, and what's the rocket one? I'll get up here in a second. But essentially, his whole book is about, you don't have to spend a lot of time. Just get some people. If you have one person, that's a heck of a lot better than nothing. And I agree with that. However, I think in today's society, especially since there's the specialized product seems to be keys where things are going, I'm going to augment this a little bit. I'm going to twist this just a little bit. And what I will say is that I think it's important to go ahead and gather as many users as you can, but then make sure that it's going to match appropriately the research that you have to do at the time. Because I just think as we're gathering research, you have a lot of people in a room when you're conducting these tests, and that if the user isn't totally matching the exact scenario, sometimes they feel like it's a waste of their time. So I want to be careful on the people that I'm selecting, and I'll talk about some of that practice. So the way I think about it is, when I'm going to recruit some participants, I see them in 3 buckets. I see, number one, I've got employees. So at your company, there's always somebody that you can generally find that will, hey, give me feedback on this. You know, sit down, give me feedback on the prototype I'm running. That's great. But there's a stat that says that 6%, and this is something that I think is alarming to people, that 6% of the population are technically savvy. So if you're working at a technology company, my thought is there's probably more technically savvy people working there, and going through your prototype may not be the exact preference of user because of the fact that they have some more knowledge when it comes to technology, and you can use their information, but I think you have to be careful with what you get. So that's why you want to go out and you want to grab some customers. So these are going to be our fans, the people that you're going out and you're collecting. But then you also have this category, which I'll call freelancers, which is they're not necessarily your customers, your employees, but you may pay them for their time. They have maybe no relation at all to your product, but you got to go out and pay them. And I'll talk about that too. So you're collecting this pool of participants, and these really are the ones that I've found that I have to pay. employees, generally I can give them some swag or some candy and they're happy, you know. I can connect with my HR group and they may give me some old swag that they had a couple years ago, we're not using anymore, and you would be amazed how employers are like, this is great, I've got a classic coaster from like 2014, this is awesome. And then customers, they are, once again, they're volunteering their time, they're just happy, they're so happy to get their voice heard and help that they're just happy to be there and help you. And then last, you've got your freelancers that have no connection at all, and you're most likely going to give them an Amazon gift card or some type of payment. So what I say is turn these participants into fans. So actually create a database, and this is what I've been doing, is creating a database that I call fans, which to me equal volunteers. So if I can get a group of volunteers, and I know when the last time they tested, how often they're engaging, I can reach back to them, they can refer me to other people in the company, because a lot of times you may work with the admin, and they may be able to refer other people that are either down the chain, up and around. So if you can build this really strong volunteer database, you can instantly, when someone has a prototype and you're ready to test, you can send it out to your group, and you will get people back rather quickly. And this has been keeping that, usability circle going very strong. So this idea of a volunteer, they're out there, they're freely offering to undertake your task, help you. And what I found is that if you can get a great group of volunteers, it's amazing what can happen, because they'll have a positive experience, they'll tell somebody else, they'll tell another coworker, because when I'm doing the testing, it's one-on-one. It's not group, it's not focus group, and I'll try to make it fun while I'm testing with them. I'm going to put some tasks in there. Maybe I'll give a funny name for their persona they're trying to embody. Like one time I did it, all members of one of the boy bands, and people caught on really quick. Is this NSYNC? And it's just interesting if you keep it mixed up that they will tell other people. So as you do that, the key here is their incentive is that they really are just being motivated to help. They're being motivated. They want to continually move into it. So if you're trying to run some usability and you want to understand how something is being used, build that volunteer database. So that was it, Rocket Surgery Made Easy. So this book has been a cornerstone for many years about how to get up and running usability testing fast. And it's a chapter in here that I've heard referenced multiple times by many UX professionals. So I would recommend that if you want to just get a quick dive in and there's more information that you're inspired to at this discussion, try that. Has everyone read Rocket Surgery Made Easy? Got a hand up there. How about the Sprint book? Got a couple hands. Because in the Sprint book, they also talk about some quick techniques that you can use, like going up to Craigslist. Yes, it does sound a little creepy, but you can put a post on Craigslist and put a screener up that someone can click on the link, and if they don't fit the criteria, they say, sorry, not today, or they may align, and you'd be amazed, within an hour I had over 100 people that were qualified, and I was able to turn off that study and bring people in. So there is an opportunity to do that, and you can then run all these activities, usability testing, card sorts, interviews. I was really early on in a project, so I even used this to do some generative research. Didn't have a concept yet, brought people in, interviewed them, understood the core of their problem, then I was able to use that information to build some products. So you can even use this to do interviews, and just for $50, someone will come in and talk for an hour. And then also, TreeJack, I'm going to send them somewhere and see if they can find the item. And then even if a Gorilla Test is prime for something like this. So one of the things that I will give you when you're building this volunteer database is check with legal. This is one thing that Steve does cover in his book. There's some legal forms that are in there for the end user to sign. But then also figure out, can you give incentives to your customers? Some organizations you can, some organizations you can't. Most organizations I'm not allowed to give any incentives to my customer. I can't give them I can't even send them a free wallpaper. You know, there's nothing there. All you can do is give them a pat on the back and send them a nice email afterwards for their time. And then that can also dictate some of the terms for those three audiences. So you've got, you know, your employees, you've got your customers, and then you have those freelancers. Even the freelancers, you may want to find out, can I pay them? Am I able to do that? So legal, I put it number one because that's going to help dictate everything else that follows down. And if you don't have a legal team, like I said, the Rocket Surgery Made Easy book has some key tips in there. Also in that Sprint book, there's some good nuggets in there that I would recommend. And then don't also forget about usability.gov. There's some good tips on that site as well. The next one is you're going to want to understand how it's going to impact the rest of the company. Because what's going to happen is you could be doing similar testing that another group might be doing. Maybe product management is doing something. Maybe sales has a whole program. Where I am, at Highland, we have a couple programs. We have something that is an advisory group, so I can go out and I can interface with them. We also have some special groups that will enable us to call special verticals together. So if I have a healthcare group or higher education or government, I can bring them in and talk to them. So that's going to get me to some of those customers. So check to see, maybe an organization already has this. You never know, because they may be using it for sales purposes, but you may be able to go along. Also, for sales, I've gone along on a trip where they're going out to a customer to talk about training. You can go along with them. And then here's the UX guy, UX gal, that's going to go along and observe. So you can actually get some good references there, but I'm there solely to build some relationships with that customer so I can contact them later. Most of the things that I'm doing is establishing a relationship at the time so I can follow up with them later. I'm not trying to run a lot of usability testing in the wild, because what I've found is, number one, if I'm at a conference, it's loud, people are trying to go somewhere else. The second thing is, a lot of times when you're at a location, you can probably get about 5 to 10 minutes, but it may not be enough time to really get any substantial information. But if you can introduce yourself, understand what they're doing, you can get a business card, or better yet, I carry around an iPad with just like a SurveyMonkey, Survey Gizmo type of form that says, hey, would you like to sign up? I've got a volunteer database, and they'll fill it out. It has a couple other pieces of information on there that ask them about, what are your interests? What type of things would you like to test in the future? Would you be interested in doing this type of activity? And I'll list them down, and it's got to be quick. It's got to be done within 1 to 2 minutes. But just having that available when you're talking with someone means that you're offloading it to later, not then. And that's been part of the strategy that I've been rolling out that's been really working well, because then I can build up my volunteer database and I'm continually getting it into play. And that's been helping. And then also customer experience. Most organizations now have a customer success team. They're interacting with customers to make sure that, one, they're renewing or they're satisfied. They have relationships already, so why not go talk with them, leverage them, to make sure that the things you're doing aren't going to, one, crisscross with what they're doing, because they may be sending out surveys. What if you want to send a survey out? If I'm a customer, how would you feel if you got 3 surveys in one day from the same company? Are they even talking together? And they're all asking you the same thing. What do you think about our product? You would not be happy. So make sure that you are talking to your other groups and don't work in a bubble. And that's been another thing that takes some legwork, that takes some time, that takes a lot of effort. So think about that. The other one, this is silly, but it's so true. If you don't have concepts, if you're either the sole, because for a while there at Highland I was wearing research, design, and testing, so I was doing everything. So I could create my own concepts, and then I would work with another team member to help test it. Now that I'm doing sole UX research, I need concepts to evaluate with customers. So make sure you have something to put in front of a customer. Because the worst is if they say, yeah, I'd like to look at something, you're like, oh, I don't have anything happening right now. So make sure that there is something there so that if they do sign up and they are expecting that you're going to contact them in the future, that there is something that you could reach out to them on. And this is something that it seems like, yeah, thanks, but I've seen this many times where you're primed and ready to do some research and then nothing is there. So either you could pivot to another research activity, which I've done, where I said, okay, well, I don't have a concept ready, maybe I'll run a card sort. Anybody here using Optimal Sort or one of those programs? Got some hands up there? Yeah, those things are great, where I can just put together something really fast and then send the link out to a customer. I just want to keep them involved, keep them engaged, and not disappoint. Because once again, I'm trying to be a fan of them. You know, I've got their baseball card, and I want them to autograph it at the end. The fourth thing is, and this is the one I was just talking about, but this is something that I wanted to dive in more here, because I think when I've done some initial research on the techniques that I'm doing, and what I've found is this is one that I've heard the most fascination with, so I thought I'd spend a few minutes talking about this. But this one here is, you are going out to events. So you're going to go out to, how many people here, their organizations have conferences just for their customers? People have those? Got a couple hands. How many people are going to trade shows? Hands up there. So this is what I started doing. I started going to trade shows. I started going to customer conferences, setting up just a little booth with a concept, and gathering people's names. Now, you're going to have to work with your organization to get approval to do this, but this is what I've found has been highly successful because, one, I'm not trying to do lab testing there. I'm just trying to say, like, hey, we've got this research outfit. If you're interested, I can send you information later. And most people are like, yeah, that sounds great. And also, you got to make your booth a little cool, so you got to do some things. You most likely want to have some swag or something to hand out. So I'll talk about some of the things that I've been doing. But collecting names at these events has been something that I've been doing about 5 years. And it started as a, hey, let's try to test in the wild, and I noticed that that wasn't working. So we ended up doing this, which is, this is something that Highland has something called Community Live, which is our annual user conference. So it's about 2,000 to 3,000 people that come to this conference. And we started out something that we actually called the User Experience Center. And we started testing software. So we had like 6 or 7 different pieces of current software. And people were walking by and, oh, is this the Experience Center? And they sat down like, well, what cool, what do you have to show us? We're like, it's the current software. Well, I've already seen this. You know anything new? No, and they walk away. So luckily that conference, I had a mobile device that someone had asked me. It was like a mobile app that someone asked me, hey, could you use some feedback on it? So I said, well, I got a mobile app, is that new? Yeah. And what happened is, I ended up taking this mobile app. It sounds really crazy. But I had this, like, you know those, in hospitals using to hang those IVs on, you know, those bags? You ever see those things? You roll them along with you? Well, I saw one over in a corner at this conference, and I was like, is anybody using that? And they're like, no. So I used that, and I taped a webcam to the top of it, and like I had it over my shoulder, and I was just walking around the conference. People were like, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, I'm getting feedback on this mobile app. Oh, really? Is it new? So I used the camera to like get their hands, and then I ended up like putting like a mirroring 360 on the phone and my computer so I can actually see what they're touching. And like I got all this footage, and they used that. I got back, and it was like, wait a minute. If I started testing just new stuff at conferences, people seem to really like this. So then the next year we rebranded and we called it the R&D Lab. We started wearing lab coats. You know, we had dry ice, the whole 9 yards. And everybody started coming up and saying, wow, this is amazing. Like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh yeah, we're testing. That year we tested only new software. So then we just started getting names like crazy. Like people were giving us their names, and then we decided the third year we're going to do something even different, where we ended up getting that that red carpet robe. We asked the conference, like, do you have any of that? Like, yeah, we got that. They put that out front. We locked the doors, and I got like a bouncer-looking guy to like stand out there, and you couldn't come in the room unless you signed a waiver. You're not allowed to come in. Oh wow, what's going in there? And I would light it like this, right? And I had music bumping out, so people were like, what's going on in there? And then we got a VIP stamp, and I would actually stamp people's hands when they came out. It was like a club. But we set up, you could go all the way around the room and you could check out all the stuff, and then people would want to come through and they would check everything out. But it was kind of like James Bond Q, where we just had a lot of cool gadgets and things in there. So then last year we changed the name, and now we're calling it Highland Labs. And we were out at Lockland this last fall, and we set it up there. But now we've got we got VR, virtual reality, AR, augmented reality. We had a blockchain demo. We had another mobile app. We're really trying to explore some really out there things, and we gathered a lot of attention, and I was able to gather a lot of names again. Now you can see it's a little more open air here, but it still gave me the opportunity to talk with someone. They walked through a demo, and I said, hey, if you're interested, did you want to sign up? Now what was cool is, this is what I was trying to say earlier about Krug, when he was saying, right now, just collect names, and then, it doesn't really matter later. To me, I'm augmenting that a little bit, saying, if someone came up, and they were checking out the VR demo, and they wrote their name down, they want to test out VR, why not contact them later and say, do you want to check out the new VR app? So it gave me the opportunity to actually build a vehicle to specifically target people that are interested in a very specific type of research. And then I could notate in my CRM or whatever you're using to keep track of your customers, the things they like, how often they've tested, their background, all of that. And then one thing that surprisingly happened is, if I get a name here that isn't in our system, it could possibly become a sales lead. So now there's a link between user experience and sales, which now can actually give a jump into adding even more value to what we do. Because a lot of times there's a kind of a disconnect between user experience and how it impacts the rest of the organization. And with this, it's very visible, it's out there, and we're able to inspire. So this has led to some innovations. And now working with Highland Labs and growing this, we're doing more. We worked recently with the Cleveland Museum of Art on a VR demo, and now there's organizations that are actually reaching out to us because of this to get information. So it gives you this opportunity to actually go out there and talk to people, understand their background, and connect with them. So my point is, this whole journey that I've had building this database of volunteers has been very organic. There's been a lot of learning. There's been a lot of opportunity, and what I found is that everyone here has the same chance. If you've got a conference, if there's something you're going to, you could bring one of your concepts. But once again, the rule before this one was you got to have a concept. So you're going to have to go with something. But if you arrive and it's on your laptop and you've got the right legal so that someone comes up and they have to sign off on it, whether it's an NDA and you're fine, you have all the clearance, then you should be able to, no problem, be able to collect some names. If you collect those names, then you can start customizing the research experience for the end user. And once again, if they're volunteers and they really like what you're doing, they're going to help you. They will do it. So, part of that is, collecting those names, doing that. The fifth one that I had down was just determining some of the tools. So really understanding what are the tools you're going to use to keep track of this. Is it going to be a spreadsheet? Is it a CRM? Are you using, do you have usertesting.com? Are you using, cog tools? What are the things that you're using that you're going to be measuring your recruiting efforts? There are also some automated tools that are out there that will help do some of the recruiting for you. So look into that. I've been experimenting with some of those. But tools are important too. I think you need to do an inventory, because if you're not set up properly, there's no way to do. I guess you could just keep it on a spreadsheet, keep it lo-fi. And then this is something that is straight up out of the Google Sprint book, but the study design. Has anybody done a study design in here? It's basically your screener, but there's a step-by-step process in this book that will walk you through how to set up a very specific study design. And basically what that means is, who do we want to test with? Who do we not want to test with? And what are, what's other technical constraints? Do they have to have special subject matter knowledge? Things of that nature. So when they're filling out your survey, you're actually getting the right people. So there's a step-by-step process in there, but this is part of the process I think a lot of times we miss, and I think even in Steve Krug's book, the Rocket Science book, it's about just getting names, just give me your name. However, I can do that at a conference, but once on the back end, I want to determine, are the people that I'm collecting match the people that I'm hoping to put it in front of? And if you have a large database, you can easily do this. So at the end of it though, so when you're starting, you're going to be doing all this early stuff. But once you start growing your database, you need to keep it up to date. That's the challenge. Are you scrubbing it? Do people jump to other companies? So you may be able to interact with your marketing department if they have a very specific procedure to do that, or you can attempt to do that yourself. Also, you want to continue that engagement. So I talked about if you don't have a concept, maybe send them a survey. If you don't, send them a thank you email. Maybe there's a way to just keep them in the loop. That's important. The other one is, this one is really important because there are times you may want to go back to a certain volunteer. How many people use usertesting.com or something like that? A couple of hands. On their site, what I like about that is they actually, you can rate the user, the person, the participant that's testing, and you can say, oh, they're 4 out of 5 stars, or they're only 2 stars, and they're not that knowledgeable. Maybe the feedback they're giving isn't completely resonating. And there are some volunteers that really are good at giving you information. So you may want to notate that in here and say, hey, they're really great at giving information on X. And this is the last time they worked there. Worked within your application. This is one I had to learn hard. So I've got a room of people. I actually have an observation room and I have a participant room. So the observation room, I maybe have 10 people in there watching the test live. Or maybe I'm sending out a Zoom link and they're watching it from their desks, right? What if the person doesn't show up? Now I have all those people that are just waiting around saying, well, what's going on? Why isn't there anybody there? Well, this was a waste of my time. And they may not come back. So some of the observers may not come back. So what I do is, I always make sure I have a floater, somebody available, just in case somebody doesn't show up. So on your list, try to designate somebody like that, or a lot of times I'll tag team an employee and say, look, if one of the customers don't show up, can I call you? And I'll make sure that they somehow match. But this is where I do agree with Steve Krug in, is that at least there's a user that's testing it, and I'm keeping people engaged. So make sure you line up a floater. It's really important. If you have to pay them, then you may have to pay them. And then this is where I was saying is freelancers. So I think it's important that if you need an outside perspective, you set aside some budget to do this. But I really think number 11 is the one that causes most organizations to say, I don't know, we don't have any money to pay. We don't have any money to pay people to test our product. Well, if you notice, everything I did up into here, I didn't talk about money until 11. It's all been organic. So that's why I wanted to give you some of those steps so that if you're looking to build your own database of volunteers, you can do that. But this is generally where people start, right here, 11. Well, I guess I got to set aside some money. We don't have any money. I guess I can't use ability test. That's not true. It's part of the mix. You should set this aside, and you should be counterbalancing your research with outside voices. However, it's not the end-all, be-all, and I've actually found a lot of success being able to just counterbalance a mix of freelancers into it with those 3 people. And then this is what I was saying, Steve Krug has, he says recruit loosely, and then I think it's like grade on a curve. And my revision is recruit loosely and match appropriately. So it's like if you're gathering as many people as possible, but you're in your database, you're making sure that when you're setting the test up, you're going to match up the right people per your study design over there. You're getting the right people in the mix so that you're getting the most valuable information back. And these 12 are really the top tips that I believe that there's a lot here. But I think if you can start with those 6 and then just end on those 7, I think you'll have a good group of people that you can get some feedback on. And this is what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for a group of employees that are interested in helping, a group of customers. You've always got the freelancers that you can pull the string on if you need that. And then you're constantly trying to build this database, this volunteer of fans, get people engaged. And what I would say is that fans make good participants. Contrary to what you may think, I've found that if I can find a group of people that are really engaged, they want to help out, they're in the mood, you really can get some good feedback. And it's this idea that if you build those relationships, I'm going out to conferences, I'm talking to customers, I'm keeping them engaged, I'm sending them concepts, I'm getting feedback on them, it's going to end up showing in your interface. Because people are going to know that you've been able to figure out what their needs are, reflect that, and it really will help. And what's interesting is people love, I can't tell you how much people love to volunteer their time. I've just been continually enthralled over the last few years of customers that, because you're talking to them and you're engaging with them and you understand, oh, hey, I met you at this conference. Oh, that's great. Hey, I have something that matches with you. Oh, you remember? Yeah, great. And you send them a link. They're online. They're giving you feedback. It's amazing. And the next thing is that, if you want your organization to get aboard, if you start creating this volunteer database, you really can start finding more projects, more and more concepts that are going to happen, that you're going to be able to match these customers' needs, which is amazing. And this last one is kind of a, yeah, I know, but it's true. It's a fact, right? It says at the top of the slide. But it gives you a chance to use usability testing, card sorting, any of those methods to identify more opportunities for improvement. And I don't believe there's ever been a test that I've run, it's not what's going to happen after today, I think there's some wood up here, I'm knocking on wood, that I've run that I haven't found something that has been a great opportunity to find improvement in the interface. So building this volunteer database is going to help you get to the next level. And if you're struggling and you're trying to wonder where is some usability testing, think about creating your own volunteer database and you'll be able to run testing whenever you want. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I went through a lot of information. I felt like there was a lot there. Yes?
Have you found there's a certain amount of time you can use the same person before they get
Yes,
tired of it?
I have actually. So, generally I would say you're going to want to not bring the same person back on the same particular prototype. If you are, I would definitely wait until there's like another version of it, so that then you might be able to do more of a baseline study. So there are some tactics I'll do where if, let's say there's version 1, 3 months go by, and then there's version 2, I may try to bring back one of the same people to keep a common thread to measure their score, if it's the same exact, particular prototype, to see how do they do the first time compared to this time. Is it more muscle memory, or did they actually, did their task completion go down or up? So I'm actually using it as a baseline. For the most part, though, I'll generally move on because I've got such a large database now, thank heavens, that I can go and bring those people that tested on one thing and put them on something else. Because I've got a lot of projects, so I have the opportunity to, if one person tested on one, I may be able to bring them on to something else. But I definitely try to space it out so that I'm not fatiguing them with too many requests. And especially the other thing I notated in my database is when, let's say higher ed, for example. Higher ed, their semester kicks off in January. I don't want to ask them in January if they want to test anything. Or if they're like a financial firm, they're mostly probably closing the books and opening the books around the end of the year. So I'll try to make sure like there are peak periods that I'm not going to ask them. So I'll try to notate what vertical they're in, because I know they most likely are going to get annoyed if I ask them, like, would you like to volunteer? So I'm trying to take in all like, the context of very specifically who they are. So when I reach out to them, they're really excited to help me. Good question. Yes.
Do you have a particular sort of set of language that you use when reaching out to people?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I've played around with this. So I have, most of the time I'll put the name of the product and then I'll just say feedback. So let's say it's, I don't know, I'll make up a product. Let's say it's, we've got a Roadrunner product. I'll be like, Roadrunner feedback. And then inside of it I'll just say like, Hi John. You may remember me, I met you at Conference X, and you said you're indicated in more research. I've got an opportunity coming up next week or 2 weeks out. It should only take 30 minutes of your time. You can do it from your desk. If you're interested, let me know, and I'll leave it at that. Then I'll generally CC if there's an account manager, so they're aware. The other thing though is, because my volunteer database has grown, I want to make sure that I'm keeping maybe the admin at the company in the loop if I'm reaching out, so that it's very transparent. Then, if they reach back, I'll actually send them a link to like Calendly, or I've used like Doodle.com that has like a breakdown where they can choose their own time. Because I'll generally block off like a day. I'll say, oh, I'm going to do usability testing from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on this date. So then I'll send them a link, and then they can choose the time that they want to. But I won't send them the link to the calendar unless they respond to it. Because I don't want to be like over presumptuous, like, oh yeah, I know you're going to test with me, and then I never get a click on the link.
But you have had face-to-face contact with them initially.
I have, yeah, generally. If I haven't, I will try to then make one of the account reps like make kind of a warm introduction, if possible. But for the most part, everyone on my volunteer list has been through either met me or someone on the team. So then there's kind of a step in a good direction. Yeah, hi.
Hi. When you said that you reach out to them like a week or two ahead of time, is that your typical time frame?
That's what I'm shooting for. Yeah, about a week or 2 weeks ahead of time, if possible. If it's something where, because most of the time, depending on your organization, if you're doing sprints, methodology, agile, or you're doing waterfall, you generally know when feedback has been planned. But if it's like a last minute thing, I'm still available to like, go out to the database and say like, hey, we have a last minute opportunity, and I'll just say like last minute. I'll say, sorry, last minute. But for the most part, my rule of thumb is giving a little bit of like a week or 2 weeks ahead of time. That way, one, the account reps are familiar with it. A lot of times the customers, it can get lost in their junk or their spam, or sometimes I've had it where they are just out of the office. So, if I give them that kind of those 3 or 4 days, business days, most of the time they will respond. And then also, their schedule is so packed, most people that I know is most people's I'm contacting, their whole week is already booked up. So that generally 2 weeks out, it's a little clearer. Like, oh yeah, I think I should have time. And that's why I may get a cancellation at the last minute, but for the most part, yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'll try to do that, and that's why I'll try to get like a floater or somebody that's available. If not, then I'll make sure I'll reach back to them a couple days before and say, hey, we've already reached our max limit. I'll put you on the list next time. Just be polite. Because you'll be surprised how often people will come back and want to do it the next time, just in case there wasn't time that time. Good questions. Yes.
So, aim for
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for the most part, I've seen the true incentive of just participating in the study has been fine. Without being, because people just want to have their voice heard.
Thank you.
I've done both, yeah, like I have, I would call down my volunteers, I'm trying to think of the term I used down there, but, freelancers, right, thank you. The freelancers, I have money to set aside for those folks if I need. Sometimes, depending on how hard the task is, like if I can't go more than a half hour with my volunteers, but for somebody I'm paying, I can go an hour. So it depends on how long you want to go. Good questions. It looks like we're at the end. We're switching, so thanks everybody for your time. Any other questions, feel free to follow up with me. Thank you. Take care. You can turn the lights on if you want. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we're starting to get a little hot here.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah.
Saw you guys earlier.
Oh.
You decided to way across the room.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's nice to see you. Yeah. Have you been? Yeah. Busy?
Yeah.
Are you? Okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Back here again.
Can't pass that up, yeah. I've done it so here's my fourth year.
It is, but it's still.
Yeah, I know, it's a little strange, but it's all right. I do it right now.
I don't keep the smell up.
Next door.
I don't know the snack table.
It's too hot in here to go any other way. I'm so sorry.
I tried earlier, I couldn't get it.
Take it off.
I need to bring my dog.
Test, test.
Any cooler in here? We're good? All right.
About 4 minutes behind, but I know we're almost out of seats, so might as well start. Let me just see if, I don't think there is a halfway onset. Wait, something happened. Okay, so this is probably the toughest slot. This is an hour and a half or something after lunch, so I promise, even if I have to jump around and keep you individual, I will keep you awake. That is my promise to you. Is this good, likewise? You guys happy with it?
No worries.
I think with the fans, I'm gonna have to, I usually move a lot, but I think I need to stay close to Mike. Especially for those people who are. Is this open? Can you hear? Okay. I don't know how to turn All right. You're in the right place if you wanted to hear about ethical design. This is actually one talk wrapped around another talk, and you'll see why as well. What I'm going to speak about is ethical design, and we're going to talk about it through the lens of onboarding. And we'll talk about what that is. We'll go through onboarding principles, patterns, and anti-patterns. Got some good ones. We'll talk about dark patterns, particularly in ethical patterns, and ethical dilemmas, and that's how we'll wrap up. I've heard what you take from that. Okay, a little bit about me. By the way, who is in the program or has gone through the program? Yeah. I recognize most of you, although some of you I only recognize as 16 by 16 icons. So, trained as an aviation human factors researcher. That's where I did my graduate work in aviation primarily. I built both small and large teams each year. Also do consulting, and I know most of you who know me have seen this. I'm also a Pixar plot device. There's always a few people who are thinking it's I decided to bring it into my plot. Let's talk about designing the onboarding experience. Quick definition. Basically, it's the process of getting people to adopt your application or your service. Makes sense. Very simple. When you're onboarding, and this is a key point, you're trying to get them both to like and want your product, or in economic terms, that means you want them to derive value. And you'll see why I have the puppy and baby on the left. So what is value? Here's kind of a blah, blah, blah definition. The work that will good or service is determined by people's preferences and trade-offs they choose to make within their scarce resources. Great. What is it really? Basically, something to derive benefit. And economists, believe it or not, actually quantify the value of a puppy or a baby. So, does anyone have any guesses as to how economists might quantify a puppy or a baby? Any guesses? It's okay to be just wild and ask guesses and try it. Yeah.
I would say pet,
So, okay, yeah, no, that's good. So having companionship, which leads to better health outcomes. I've had some people say, well, you need someone to take care of you when you're old and infirm. Probably something to that, but you know, the economic value of things as intangible and as fuzzy as love is something that a lot of benefit from. Let's talk about the importance of onboarding. I think we all kind of know, yeah, that's an important thing to do, get right for a product. It's literally a matter of survival in today's app in the world. Mobile. Average app uses 95% of its users within just a few months. And this has been a study by two economists, Peter Chen and Anka Jane. I like what Anka has to say here. It says, users try out a lot of apps, decide which ones they want to stop using and improve the service, and try to get them hooked. And that word hooked is interesting. We'll come back to that at some point. During that period. As I was doing work on this presentation and this tutorial, I actually gave just the onboarding piece as a tutorial, and then I wrapped the microscope around it. I realized that it was a pretty simple kind of idea that I needed to draw out, and basically this is not based on any data, this is just me trying to get a model of conceptual basis. My thinking is that users are constantly and consciously assessing your offering on two dimensions. Time investment against perceived value. So as time goes on, the value they perceive and realize has to be increasing or they'll sink down and be abandoned. Anything could cause someone to driven away from the product. Another interesting thing about value, other than it can be really fuzzy and it doesn't have to just be monetary, is that it's an aspirational activity. So we adopt new behavior materials because we're hoping to improve something. This is a quote from the founder of the useronboard.com site, Sam Hewlett, and he said that people don't buy products, they buy better versions of themselves. So are you listing the attributes of the flower or describing how awesome it is to throw fireballs? In the example of Mario. Getting the capability to throw fireballs once he picks up the flower. So what that made me realize is that if people feel like they're approaching, in fact, better version of themselves, that's a factor in adopting. But if it feels like using this thing, adopting this new thing, isn't getting you down the path to improvement, then you probably walk away from it. So, brings me to the idea of the top left idea. How many of you have the island of misfit apps last screen, or if you're Android users, the things you just kind of dump back into your, into your app drawer? The things that you downloaded and you use this, then I will really be on top of it. I'll have a new list, it'll integrate with Google Docs, and then I can send it over to Evernote, and then I can use this. I can send it to a significant other, and then a sheet, and get the grocery list, and then you can actually get a fridge to talk to, and then you end up not using it, right? This is where onboarding plays a crucial role. So I'd like to talk about some patterns right now. Here's a classic, and this is actually something that Google put in the market. And yes, it's about 5 years old, maybe 6, its product isn't around anymore, it's replaced by Google News. But it's, for lack of a better name, called a modal step tutorial. And there's not many advantages to it. We could ignore for now the fact that this is really awful information. I mean, this is hot garbage. It makes all the mistakes. Not enough white space, too much distracting information. Let's use all the fonts and all the colors. I can't believe Google let this go out. The other thing is people won't really remember. They don't retain that information. This is what we know from how people learn and retain information. Somewhat similar, there's first run callouts. It's a little bit different. So you launch an app for the first time, and then you can't really get to the app because you've got this overlay where you get a little bit of guidance, a little bit of instruction, and it draws your eye to the key areas, right? Okay, a little bit better than the step mode pattern where you don't even have any context. But how do you get at this? You want it to maybe just dive in, like we all want to do. You can see this later. So here's another first-time callout example. Again, same kind of problem. Good information, continue to work, you know how much time in the screen commitment there is, well, what if you just want to dive in, which is what 95% of us want to do? Just get out of my way, I want to play with this. Similar, new feature comments calls your attention to key areas or key new features. So I don't usually click on these because it's just not attractive enough. It doesn't feel like there's going to be enough of a payoff. So, like most people, I click yes. But what if I realize, oh, I'm in a conversation, how can I do this better? I wouldn't know how to get back to this. This is kind of neat because this is a new feature call out. It's interactive. So I don't know how many of you ran across this. Of course, apps get released so often. Product released so often, I can update this thing. So this is within the last 4 months. Any of you recall this? Running across this? So what's happening? Callouts. Watch this. There's a callout. Then they automated showing me the screen that I have close up. Really? Well, I was supposed to not. But the thing is, I'm doing it. So they're telling me, but I'm actually, that's my mouse clicking. So there's a good chance I'll remember how to do that. Now, have I? Actually, I have a few times. So this one succeeded, at least for this guy. There's a video tutorial. Everyone automatically assumes this is the way to go. Not so much. This is not a video. But again, the problem is, how would you get back to this? They actually put this. It's Photo.io. What they did? Getting started video right there. Right in the left now. I'm sure it's at the bottom, but it's there. And look at this. What's neat about that? What's neat but also annoying? Yeah. So you want to play whack-a-mole and you see a badge with a number that's red. In this case, this is not completely useless and stress-inducing. Then there's contextual assistance, which those of you who are old enough would remember. It's good in theory, but it's not so good in practice. And the reasons for this are many, but the main one is that it's really hard to know the true context because you know where a person is, but you don't always know why. And that brings us to gamification and social comparison. Both trigger people's desire to complete the process, fun and cute, and they can both be effective. Other thing is anyone taking part in creating a gamification or social comparison process in your app or your tool or your system? Have you done that? I haven't either. They're really expensive, and the reason I know this is because one of the products that I did work with for years as an insider, as a full-time employee, we thought about this, and then we came back with the estimate from development. It was about the cost of the relevant database. And we can also identify users to come back to that. But when I stepped through Stack UX, and I actually looked through it to get these examples, I actually got really warm fuzzy. Oh, I did the tutorial. I'm informed. I earned a badge. And so as much as I was just doing it to gather info, it even gave me that little dopamine just from doing the thing. Social facilitation. So showing frequently asked questions, answers, providing access to forums, expert help is another great way to onboard. The risk there is, number one, that you may have shelf phenomenon where you just don't have critical mass or enough information. And that's when you have the content producers faking questions, fake it till you make it. And that can be sometimes seen through. So come off as cheesy or Critical text doesn't have that problem. Yeah. So, main takeaways from these patterns, what the user returns beyond. And I'll make sure that you guys have access to this presentation. Just email me. And send new users to learn by showing what's new, or at least telling them, hey, new stuff here. Contextual systems is great in theory, but it's hard in practice for the reasons that we discussed. And gamification and social comparison can increase motivation, costly and they can cost impact. Social facilitation requires critical mass to succeed, or it can suffer from this distortion. Not enough content, or slow, or slight. So let's go deeper here. When I first started doing this, I was showing those patterns. And then, as I saw a couple of other presentations, and I started digging deeper, I realized, there's principles behind it. So, let's go through them. Present a clear value proposition. Let me show you some examples. So here is Office Lens on Android tablet. Pocket scanner. Save and share. You probably can't read this because this is VGA. Showing me how. It's nice. I may not remember all that, but just in terms of communicating value proposition, that was good. Nice and short. Here's Medium. Read and write the stories that matter to you. Again, clear value proposition. What's interesting is that the examples that I use, you'll see. Medium, good example here. For a couple of the other Medium. Amazon's browser from their Fire tablet. This is the startup screen. This is it. That's all there is. So if you are used to using another browser, why would you use this? Especially when the first screen that launched was this. You can send us feedback from here. It's literally all the information. Why would anyone use this? Number 2, engage emotional and aspirational motivations. We talked about earlier. So here's a good example of appealing to your best self. Now, Evernote has lost market share, it's done some weird things with its business model, but this screen still stands as a good example. Take notes. Okay, well, that's pretty dry. Stay productive. Okay. You can search your notes on any device. Keep everything in one place. This is appealing to my sense of getting the lack of a better term. Which is what we all kind of want to do. That's why sites like Lifehacker exist. Look at this one. Look at this one. Already, it's got the Office stop music. Resize multiple objects. Wow. So you get the idea. They're just showing off features. They're not showing me how this is going to make my life better as a user. Next one. Doing better than showing and telling. First of all, this is not just a good example of doing is better than just showing and telling. This is also a good value proposition. It's really simple. It's a beautiful design. And so this is meant to build banners. If you have no skill in using pixel tools. they're showing you right in the tool. And then you just click, and then you just follow the directions that you just saw. Anti-pattern. That's supposed to be the sound of the whole time.
WordPress 3.5, colon, page Joseph colon tokens. Streaming is a when you're writing your content or building your website. With responsive previews in the customizer, you don't need your phone to check out your site on your mobile app. Just use the layout tools to preview your website and build size screens. While you're there, stop by the site identity settings.
You guys gonna remember this?
Your user preset and a logo to your website. We've made some changes in the editor to improve
Crazy.
your
I
writing
mean, I
experience.
feel like I'm
Now,
going to hire
we're
those
going to
features.
a field was in here. Allow
So yeah, you could argue that this is just a kind of a release video, not so much of onboarding, but for people that just started using the product, this might show them. So if 4.5 was the first time you ever started to use WordPress, that's what you get. Minimize friction and barriers. So let's go back to mockups. How many people have used mockups? No? Okay, one. Two. All right, I like it. I use it for some projects. But check this out. I was expecting, when I hit try it now for free, that I was going to have to go through the form. Look where I am. Yeah. You can't beat that. In terms of onboarding, getting them the value, yeah. So there I am, just playing. Alright, so we'll move on. Okay, now, in terms of friction and barriers, medium, good, medium, bad. This is what it took about 2 years ago to actually sign up for medium users. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you recall this, but okay. Stories of embarrassment. Sign up, email, and then send me out of band. Go check my email. They didn't have to do that. So, click the link, and now they're bugging me about notifications, and then finally get to the story I want to do. That's a lot to ask. Stock the shelves and avoid the empty store, but don't out and out lie. You do this. I'm sure many of you have seen this as a Envision users. This was a great example. We've got 3 prototypical projects. You get in and mess them up all you want, and it's just the same ones. Or I think actually you can save them out and you can create an account. That might be before I create an account, which I'll save it. Flipboard. I'm not a big fan anymore. I used to use it as my newsreader, but the onboarding on their Android app is pretty good. So that was my first prompt. Content is right there, and then they've got this little helper, and gives me the choice. Look at this newsreader. First thing, I'm getting scolded. And, you know, there's a little bit of, yes, you know, a little bit of guidance. But every time it just returns to this old and irresistible point. It's crazy. So finally I found a link. It says, set up your recommended feed. Why didn't you do that? Why did you make me do this? And then there's a whole other issue of why 99? And who are these people? And what criteria can I use to make decisions about what are the problems? Okay. Don't ask for a payment before you use your spread. I would say that also applies to life. Mock-ups again. So here I am playing in fast forward. there I am dragging stuff around. This is me describing my thought process. Oh, look at that bar. Can you go? Is that nap bar? I'm sold, man. All right. Yeah, I'm here with that blue thing. I'm ready. And then, one click, and there's the light. That's really, really ready. Let's talk about notifications. So, they're asking for a commitment. Will you let us access your location? Here's the reason why. We think it's a good idea. You should too. At the very next screen, and someone later explained to me that this is a system dialogue. They either didn't have control of this or they didn't bother to change it. But look at this one. They don't tell me why they don't send notifications, they just explain what notifications are. No thanks. Anytime a company uses the phrase continuously upload your contacts, that's especially now, what we know now about Facebook. Okay. Next one. Leverage social comparison and information between cheesy or malfunction. So Stack Exchange, adding replications of what works for themselves is we have this kind of need to achieve and to see how we stack up and climb the ladder. Interestingly, I could not find any CRUD examples. And I thought about this for a while, and I think because they're usually so bad that they just get pulled. So I thought about some examples that maybe are bad and still out there. And I came up with Amazon Wikipedia. So now I'm going to ask you guys, any idea why I would pick these as examples for gamification and social facilitation and participation? Yeah.
Well, if you try to change something in 5 seconds, later shoot back, even what you did.
Yes.
So
yes, you got
very
it.
temporary.
Yeah. So she said, you can hear on Wikipedia, which is one force. Then there's also Amazon's review system. Has anyone in this room ever written an Amazon review? Good quote. Okay. When you haven't, what does stop there? Well, I'm sorry. Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Like, I never write them because they're either, oh my gosh, this thing is so amazing, I'm in love with it, yada yada, or, oh, this sucks. So it's like, it's like people aren't being fully honest about the product.
Okay.
No product is perfect, and no product can be absolutely, like, there's no truth in being, you know, 5-star or 1-star.
Yeah. Okay. And someone else have anything about, you know, barriers to it? I'll tell you my.
I know they're having problems with people writing fake reviews. There's a form of bullying and then people also getting paid.
Yeah.
So things aren't honest.
Yeah.
Differences in structure because the Wikipedia, you can see that as being bullying. It's just that it's a very small percentage of the content as opposed to Amazon Spectrum, which is so diverse, which was.
But don't forget the tagline. It's like anyone can edit. That's not true. Yeah, anyone can edit, and then you're just going to get the word or not the word. So, good point. My take on Amazon is that there is ranked reviewers, and it feels incredibly daunting to actually put my review up there. Because, first of all, for books, there's a 25-word minimum. And sometimes I can't come up with that. Sometimes I want to come up with just something short, and so that is a barrier. The other barrier is knowing that there are people who basically self-word is pegged on their status as an Amazon reviewer, and I'm not getting involved in this game. Support learning and mastery. Not like Google and set of screens that have no context. So let's show some examples of that. I discovered this in Gmail about 6 months ago. It's not a movie, but I had been selecting multiple items in the promotions for deletion. And it said, you know, you can use that old Windows shortcut of selecting by using Shift. That was helpful because obviously they had instrumented Gmail, the application, to detect when I was selecting multiple items one at a time and creating helpful information depending that's good on. And here's one that we can take from our marketing friends and neighbors as words of wisdom. Share content via channels that encourage engagement. And so we don't have to look any further than their inbox. What does Indeed do when you sign up? They not only provide out-of-product guidance, but they also really try to hook you with that aspirational kind of pull. Get started right with 4 quick videos. Okay, I can see devoting 4 videos worth of time to that. Hopefully they'll not have that. And then here's Proto.io, same thing. I mean, look at the aspirational appeal here. Build an iOS prototype in 30 minutes. Holy crap, I want to do that. So, don't forget the obvious. Aaron said it. Not in this one. So, let's talk about this is where it gets fun and scary. So, are there dark patterns? Obviously, I would put this by the neighbor. Let's define it first. So this is from dark patterns. Tricks used in websites or apps that make you buy or sign up for things that you didn't mean to. So obviously, yes, there are dark patterns. Here's all the types that dark patterns lists. I'm only going to focus on one because I love the name. It's privacy suckering. You're trying to publicly sharing more information about yourself than you intended to. That's like a great name. So here's an example. A UXer named Dan Schlosser actually wrote a Medium article on LinkedIn's onboarding process about 2-3 years ago. I'm pretty sure they have updated this, although I think most of this is still like this. So this is a great, and by great I mean horrifying, example of social facilitation bottom up, friend spamming, and privacy zuckering all wrapped up in one big, bloody experience. So, starts off okay. And then you get to this form where it's pretty normal, you're filling out information. It says, we'll import your address book to suggest connections and help you manage your contacts. Great. I mean, I know it's a social network and it's professional, but these are my contacts. So this is just a larger call out for that. Well, and that's true. There's a lack of context. So I clicked on the, went ahead with it, and then it shows me your typical Google integration screen. And now I'm looking at it, and I know that this is Google's screen, but if I could cancel, well, I have just lost those 3 or 4 screens with phones. I don't know. It feels kind of dangerous. I think I did. Dan, click cancel. And look what you get. We were unable to import your email contact. No, I didn't let you. So, when you click skip this step, which is the way to escape that kind of privacy zuckering flow, you get this. It's called confirm sharing. You skip this, it's out. So, it actually continues. So when you get a confirmation email, it looks like something that's quick to confirm and get started, but it actually just sends you to that factory. So, LinkedIn, not good. Which, when I put this example in this presentation, got me thinking about it. This was the one that finally got me thinking, is that ethical? So, you guys feel like that's ethical? No? Not even close. Does anyone feel like, you know, okay, I see some issues, but I'd be okay with that? Yeah?
I think the benefit outweighs the cost. You may not realize something that's on your collection, your ambition, without knowing that.
Right. No, it's a good point. I mean, most people come out on that's unethical, but some people have some good points that they want to go. And it's usually some variation of what you just brought up, which is, you know, does actually help you realize value from the product.
One of the issues for me is they wouldn't really clearly communicate the value of what they out from it.
Yeah.
And then they will worse it and kind of give you a better time. I think if they would have just really clearly stated the value proposition, they wouldn't have needed to resort to manipulation or coercion.
Good
It
point.
might seem obvious, but it seems like a less clear value proposition is the ability to use other things or factors.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point.
And to add to all of that, the fact that most of us know that there's a certain amount of harm emotionally to have to go through these kind of frustrating situations over and over and over again. And know that you may be getting it's a combination of the two on a revolving basis that you just decided to resign yourself and allowing it to happen. To just get through the experience without having to deal with figuring it out.
Right. Yeah, but I just remember, I joined LinkedIn 8-10 years ago. There was a point where they were emailing your contacts without your consent. So they actually had to change that. So that flow wouldn't just kind of match the people who had an account with you and then set you up as connections. I think at least put the test out. But when they first put this flow together and they were trying to build network effects, they were emailing people. You think back, you probably remember all those emails from LinkedIn. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes. Let's talk about ethics and design. So like I said, that's the one that made me think there's ethical issues. And so after I got through an iteration of this talk, I realized everything I told you is immoral. It's not immoral or unethical in and of itself, but it is value-free. What I just told you could be used for really good products or really, really bad harmful products. And so that caused me to go down the rabbit hole of discovering what ethics are. So I went on the internet, looked at what Google had to say, moral principles that govern a person's behavior or conducting of an activity. Okay? Put up a dictionary site, I'm starting to see a trend, set of moral principles. Ethics is a guiding philosophy, a consciousness of moral importance. So, my synthesis was, these are internal guidelines inside ourselves. How funny, and I intentionally use firmware, not software, because it's a lot, they're a lot more hardwired, governing how we treat each other. And as I knew from the work I did in aviation across different cultures and within different organizations, ethics are influenced by not only our national culture, but by our regional culture, ethnic culture, upbringing, education, I mean, you name the variable. This is very much multi-regional. So think about a person, unique upbringing and education and economic status in the same profession as some other people. Think about, say, these three people. One person from one ethnic culture. I just chose ethnic culture because that's how I was able to separate them on this crazy Venn diagram. But these people are going to have somewhat differing sense of ethics and ethical principles. And a little aside, ethics not only determine how we treat the living, also affect how we treat the dead. So why are these three pictures here? What is this? Each of these, burial, cremation, and I had to actually drop the rest of this. This is what's called sky burial. In Tibetan, Nepalese, and some Western Chinese cultures, they prepare a body for this. They're actually burial, I guess, by laying it out on rocks and letting the animals feed on it. Seems weird to us, but you know what? These are all expressions of ethical treatment of the dead. It's just they happen to be different. Ethics are also really interesting because they don't necessarily align with what we think is inherently moral or good. So let me give you some examples. An example of professional versus personal ethics. What is the tension in offenses? Yes. In our system, everyone deserves representation, and even the guilty. And also, from a personal point of view, that person's horrible, and they committed terrible crimes, and I don't want to be near them. So this is what we call an ethical dilemma. How about one where identify clearly not good examples? So what's a primary ethical guideline of the organism? Yes, yeah. I think this talk, people are coming up with some really interesting things. In case you can hear it, it's don't snitch. Is that inherently good or bad? You could argue it's kind of inherently bad, because you're not supposed to snitch about the bad things that they did. But it is a guideline, an ethical guideline. But let's make the assumption that our tribe really wants to do well and good. So, that brings us to the point where we have to face the fact that some organizations employ the designs in ways that actually add to human suffering. And I did not have to look far at Google Scholar to find the primary source articles from harm to Facebook and Instagram artists to people's self-images to their psychological well-being. And there's data coming out now about just how bad it is for preteens, Instagram, and how it's really contributing to the psychological fragility of people who are between 10 and 14 and up to about freshman college age. It's getting worse. Yeah. Yep. So let's not forget the other effects that really good sticky design has. Destructive social discourse, polarized, just as crossfire between people instead of television personalities. Societal polarization and violence. So isn't it kind of funny that even as little as 4 or 5 years ago, we were all buying books that said persuasive design, seductive design. Like we're having this holy crap. What have you done? You know? It's embarrassing and kind of sad. So at this point, when we're doing this, I wanted to go find out whether we had any professional ethics. And it turns out, yes, we do. USPA has a set of methods written down, ethical principles. You know, it's just words on a page. Great. Be honest with everyone. No harm and possibly provide technical. IXDA has one as well. These aren't used. I mean, do you refer to this when you start a project? Is this like one of your foundational go-tos when you start a project? No. So Mike Montiero, who I feel like is becoming kind of like the conscience of said this. A designer is responsible for the work they put into the work. Design is a discipline of action. You are responsible for what you put into the work. And while it's certainly possible to predict how any of your work will be used, it shouldn't be a surprise when work that is meant to hurt someone fulfills its mission. So, on honestly have wondered what people at Facebook and Instagram think when they read this. So, what good is a frictionless onboarding experience of using the product or service? Not like that saying, you're so busy singing for the hood that you didn't bother. You should. But Paul, we don't know the business decisions. That's product management, and that's leadership. That's the definition of management. We know we may do harm, but we don't have the power to control it. And actually, even though we don't run the companies and we don't have our hands on product roadmap or financials, we do have agency. And we can act. And I thought about it again, and I went down another rabbit hole of what are ethical frameworks that we can employ and use. And it occurred to me that there's really just two choices. When you find yourself in a professional or ethical dilemma, you can leave or you can stay. And if you stay, you should try to change the organization to eliminate those harmful effects that design have. And if you can't, find another gig. And so, back to the title question. Is ethical design possible? Of course it is. But it's up to us as designers to act on ethical principles. Which means, and this is simple to say, but sometimes hard to do, especially when you're depending on a paycheck and health insurance. That's it. So, that's exactly what we're doing. Before I show you the concluding slides, I just want to know, has anyone found themselves in an ethical dilemma? You do not have to go into detail if you do not want to. But has anyone ever found themselves? Yeah? See, I thought you were going to say, I know I'm looking at an area that's putting people on jobs or something. That's true automation. But okay, no, that's a good description.
Well, I mean, it is, but it's also the safety around these things. So the designers that we're putting in this, we're all working collaboratively. We're interviewing teams, and a lot of ideas going around and things like this, and this idea of being able to ask agency within that is complicated.
Got it. Good one.
Yeah, so it's actually an old boss who actually do he didn't want to change, so I just left it up to him. Because he didn't want to change our treatment.
Okay.
So I just left it so.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
I worked there and saw baking products in the past couple of years. I've never seen a product that was selling. It's more work. So it's something that's probably
Yeah, I mean, that's your personal ethics. It makes sense to that. Stop eating most carbs, and so that's an ethical dilemma. I've had an ethical dilemma where I was looking at I don't care if they know that, working for G-Street Accounting, and when you were re-registering people, they wanted there was terms and conditions in the EULA, and they wanted to obscure the fact that they were signing up, they were converting from owning the product, basically owning it, to owning it on a yearly subscription basis, and they wanted to hide that information. And because they would get all that information, so they wanted to hide the information that the plan had changed so that people would just be auto-billed. And they also wanted to collect a credit card and not be 100% clear that they were going to auto-bill. Yeah, so And I love the way when the organization says, we've heard you, but now we're going to move forward. They say it's a business decision. Oh, so you mean it's an immoral decision? Are you saying that business is inherently immoral? Because that's not true. You're just making an excuse. Okay, let's wrap up with this. It's a quote from Albert Schweitzer. A person is truly ethical when they obey the confessions of all life and shrinks from doing nature. I just like this because it encapsulates order of what ethical behavior is. That's it. 47-something minutes. It's the time. Well, if you want to talk to me about anything related to the things you see here, give me a shout. Any questions? Yeah. Not one. That's why I go for the simple definitions. And I think you can look it up and parse it apart. Yeah, and I heard you were about to say, but, so let's not go down that rabbit hole, because I know that there are some overlap. There's definitely some overlap. Are you looking at? I was getting the high side. Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, they're a public company holding the shareholders and heading you to work with public companies. They always say, well, you have to keep doing what we're doing because we're holding our shareholders, as if that were the highest moral imperative. I don't have an answer. But, anything else? Any last comments? And I'm sorry if I got your comment wrong. Just, I thought we were about to go down the rabbit hole.
About whether it's LinkedIn and whether or not they're finding these technical. And for me, it was had to go, running the information and how transparent they are about that and even asking for information.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time, and take people away.
So with this,
I've actually been thinking about it. Twice a year, but basically school is tougher because you have to age a certain way or you get
so I'm curious what your top wisdom suggestions are, just sort of having this in
I circled back to bourbon after starting with Irish whiskey because it was very mellow, and then I got into Scotch just to prove that I could, and I come back to bourbon. And so right now, my favorite is just Big Rye. That's about $90, but
it's amazing how expensive
the range.
whiskey.
Yeah, no, price has nothing to do with the quality, and this is a very personal component. I like this $25 bottle that I bring home. My wife hates it, and she loves neighbors are great. I can't stand it.
interesting, like, it's like a fascinating. I went to, I remember when we had the story, it was really good. We did know it was cool. Yeah, there's one, all the, it's like, and they said it was only sold there in Japan. It wasn't marketed to market. It was delicious. So we were really,
last one of the day, everybody talks about, so let's get out of here. Few minutes before we walk in. So who thinks you should leave that for?
Yeah, I'm done here. I'm ready to go.
Your presence is all right, guys, there's still food out there. If you guys want to bring food in, I don't be offensive, you know, eating, you know. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and start. You guys don't mind? You want to wait 2 more minutes? I'm gonna go till I sit. Okay, my presentation is really about how we leverage information architecture in the world of artificial intelligence. We'll get more into specifically we're in artificial intelligence here, and focusing on academia. So, a little bit about me. 30 plus years in IT, consulting and creative, about consulting practice since 1990. And my expertise in knowledge management, artificial intelligence, information architecture, data analytics, and also IoT. That's sort of rock. I have a master's in artificial intelligence in 1989. So that's been one. So now AI is back in vogue again, and so I'm talking about it last time we were back into the AI circle. So I wanted to talk more about information architecture. We look at it primarily on the content distribution, websites, things like that. How we get our content distributed in different platforms and so on. But there's another side of AI, of IA, information architecture, that deals with the data itself, right? The unstructured data and as well as the semi-structured. One of the areas, the main area where we will focus on our efforts in IA as a computer artificial intelligence is within the machine learning platform. And specifically in what we call data preparation, some folks call it data wrangling, or a bunch of different terms, but it's really focusing on preparing and getting your data ready so these algorithms can actually use it, right? And so I have here indicated there's a few companies that you know that are prominent in the AI space, and one thing that they all need in common is prepared data. You have, in particular, experience with the IBM Watson platform and the Watson Studio, which has a data prep piece built in it. Microsoft has something similar as well as Google. Excel has a plugin for data preparation, so they know that data is very important. So, why information architecture? You know, we talk about classification, hierarchies, and things like that, and we know that to be good preparers of data, understand how to get the data into a state where something can be leveraged, whether it's a website or repository, thing like that, but also getting it in a shape where an algorithm can read it. The data preparation piece that uses AI concepts, IA concepts, is key. Like I said before, we're focusing on unstructured and structured data, and semi-structured. And so, we know from the data analytics world, over 90% of what we will put into the big data pool that we analyze by algorithms is unstructured. We're talking about PDFs, Word docs, video, pictures, images, things like that. So we have to put structure around those elements to enable machine learning to actually work. So let's talk about a little bit about the aspects of the tenets of IA. IA helps AI. Believe me, these conversations are kind of interesting because a lot of people I know in different architecture don't really think about the artificial intelligence piece. And so let's take a step back a little bit and talk about AI. You know, when most people talk about AI today, they're speaking about machine learning, speaking about algorithms, to do pattern recognition, to do anomaly detection, things like that. But artificial intelligence actually includes a lot of sub-disciplines. Things like natural language processing for your Siri devices and your Google Home devices, right? Robotics used in automotive industry. Robotics are used in surgery now. So that's more and more another avenue of artificial intelligence. neural networks, which is, again, in an algorithm space. And so there's other things like vision. And so all these other pieces make up the artificial intelligence pie. And so,
Maybe.
and so
Thanks,
our
dear.
specific focus is on the
Thank you.
algorithm, neural networks, the aspects of AI that deals with data. And this is an interesting time in our history because now we have access to a lot of data. Right? So now we have an opportunity to make sense of that data. And so when I studied AI back in the late 80s, we didn't have this capability to access all this data. We had the beginnings like neural networks or expert systems to dabble in some of that, but not in the volume and variety that we have today. And so with that computing power and the advancements in algorithms now opens up a whole new world. And for information architects, I think it's another opportunity to leverage these skills in understanding data. And when we say data, we like again, computers quite often we mean the whole scope of it. Structure, like in databases, semi-structured, like in Excel spreadsheets, things like that. And unstructured, which is the reports and images and things like that. So that's key. And so this focus, this definition for information architecture comes from who's really digress. Right? So it's easy to see how it can be applied from one end of the spectrum to the other. We're talking about organizing, we're talking about structure, we're talking about labeling, metadata, which is descriptive, describing what you're looking at as far as a picture, image, or a document. So those are things we want to take forward in our discussion with understanding the algorithms and what we need to do. And I'm going to just want you to put on your IA hat, think about this, and then as I go into an actual example, show you how we leverage it to build what we did. And so this whole spectrum here, classification and hierarchies, labeling and indexing are key pieces that we are going to take forward in the algorithm development. Now, navigation and search are uses of the first pieces, classification, hierarchy, and labeling and indexing. Navigation and search moves towards repositories and websites and things like that. And of course, I know you guys have seen this before. These are the basic parts of IA, users, context, content, and context. In our conversation today, users, of course, are the folks that use the results in the algorithm. The content is the data. I'm talking about unstructured, not structured, in context, what domain, what are you trying to answer? So those are the parts that continue to move forward. Again, this is something you guys should be familiar with. All these pieces converge, they make up the practice of information architecture. This is now got your IA hat on, firmly ready to go, and now become a not quote unquote data scientist, but in an area that's between information architecture and data scientists. And you actually prepare that data for the data scientists to use for the architect. So let's talk about data preparation. Now, in my conversation today, this afternoon, I want you guys to ask a question. Jump in. I don't want to just wait until to the end. It's about 4 o'clock, and I run out of power room. Right, so can I get those questions in now? Or if you think of something a week from now, pretty soon, I need to know what you're doing. Hopefully I remember what I talked about. Let's talk about the data preparation. Now this is the method, right? For actually structuring, organizing, understanding what data that you need to deliver the problem under discussion. Right? And you want to be able to
have a preparation process, which we'll go through in a minute, that you can use no matter what kind of data you're analyzing, what kind of data you put in. So this is what to show you is a process that we put together to do this. So it starts with auditing, doing a data audit. Right? What data do you want to analyze? Examine that data, find out what is good, what shape it's in, what are the gaps that you may need to fill, and start to, it's a tedious process. Now, there are tools available, I think, it's a tedious process. If you look at the data analysis piece, I've highlighted a few things. Information concepts, relationships, business rules, all those things you know how to do as IA practitioners, you know how to do when you look at concepts. Right? You want to understand what are the concepts you're looking at. What are the relationships between those concepts? What are the rules that govern those relationships? What is the descriptive factor to help describe, identify that concept? All those same aspects are leveraged with machine learning. Again, addressing the data gaps. Now, when you develop a repository or like an algorithm or content repository website, you are expected to understand what content you want on that platform. You want to understand what are the gaps based on the requirements of what that platform wants to do. This is a little different. We want to understand what are the requirements to understand if we have gaps in our data, and then where to find that data. That comes into data selection and validation. Now, all data is not good data. All data may be a waste of what you're trying to do to answer the questions that you have in front of you. This goes back to requirements. What do we want to do? But when we talk about machine learning algorithms, there are certain questions that we need to figure out what we're going to ask the data. What do we want to know from this data? And the important thing is, those questions will depend on the domain you're looking at. I'm going to go into the cancer research tool that we developed. And so we have specific questions around what we wanted the data to, what we want to ask the data. You can have a different domain. Maybe there's another project we're working on, this part over here, with JDRF, right? And understanding type 1 diabetes. What questions do you want to ask the data? What do you really want to know? And so, as a computer scientist, I don't know the domain. I'm learning the domain. I'm learning what data is. So I need the expert. I need somebody expert in that domain to tell me or tell our team what questions are you actually going to ask the data. That will help us find the right data sets, understand what the gaps are, prepare the data to help figure out what algorithm they're going to use. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of the algorithm, the kinds of process data I can train on. That's beyond what we're going to talk about here, but we're going to focus on actually the information architecture pieces that lead to it. Again, these are things that we think about, again highlighted, that we think about in any IA effort, classification of data. And it's important that we understand, okay, when you do a website, when you do a content repository, that organization of that platform has to do with some type of taxonomy you're developing, right? You want to be able to maybe build something that has an alphabetical index, or maybe build something that has specific business terms that pertain to the business and relationships that really work with that particular business. That is building a taxonomy or an ontology having relationships between the terms. And so we naturally as IA folks, we think like that. Library science people think like that. And so now apply that same type of work to just the data itself. Again, we're talking about semi-structured, unstructured data for our audience, which is machine learning algorithms. So it's important that we then align that data that we have put together and classified to some type of taxonomy on ontology and the organizational aspect, and then start to think about how and perform some transformation. See, that's what the taxonomy or ontology gives us is that consistent platform with relationships of terms. And those terms will become tags on unstructured data, like the reports. Like you deal with the example I'm going to walk through deals with a lot of cancer clinical trials. That's a lot of research, a lot of patient research, right? Word documents, PDF, things like that. And so our consistent ontology allows us to tag those documents and align them to a structure that's consistent. Because we are looking at several different sources of data, because we want to answer certain questions, we'll get data from a lot of different places. We want to be able to bring it into a common structure, and that's what the alignment with the taxonomy and the ontology does for us. Any thoughts? Questions?
Kind of thinking through one of these learning results.
Say what?
I looked at a startup that attempted to create taxonomy and ontology for automatically hyperlinking from natural language search results like pages of text, documents, PDFs, definitions of terms. So it was looking like finding taxonomy, names of people, places, products, organizations, and languages. And we'll get to that to just turned out that it was a lot more difficult to frame it to recognize all the different variations of phrases or people. Get on the right differently more than people and you can find it.
In one of your points about classification of data and the data selection and validation, you mentioned metadata. How do you give a practical example of that, or how it is implemented? So what do you mean by that?
The metadata is the descriptors. For instance, you have a PDF of the clinical trial results based on non-small cell lung cancer. And in that trial, it talks about stage 2 with a certain category within the stage 2. So you start to tag that, you start to align that, that becomes metadata for that report. That metadata aligns with the ontology, which is the collection of terms and relationships, so you know where that particular clinical trial sits. And so when you do the algorithm will then crawl and look at those pieces based on how the algorithm is structured to then display patterns based on it. And that metadata that starts with the terms in the ontology and understanding what the document is about is a start to do that. Now, I'm sorry to jump in here. You mentioned that the system mentioned the language.
Yeah, natural language tokenization is what we're doing.
And so when you first think about these ontologies and connections, you think, oh, this is naturally how we do it. You know, that's the kind of prescriptive way to do it. But once you get involved with it, you can see that it's more and more data, more and more variables that you have to deal with. And in those cases, like with any algorithm, you have to have a small set of training data and build it up and constantly run it, because you're going to find mistakes and errors. And you kind of then build it up to a point that, okay, now we have a consistent result.
Yeah, we found that the business model proves to want to duration of training that we need to maybe use an active essentially that is effective.
Right, you have to do stimulation, that's the whole concept. Yeah, that's what very cool. So let's talk about how we apply all that wonderful stuff. Let's do that.
I'm a library science person, so taxonomies can in fact go into an IA algorithm when one goes to set set one up, like the taxonomies
library
can be
sciences.
used to build the algorithm.
Well, library sciences is key to understanding taxonomies and ontologies to give you that basis of relationships to build your build up the data in a consistent manner. And so that is just a part of it. That's why in science coming from library science folks have a strong background in taxonomy. They understand organization. That's one aspect of understanding how to then build out prepare your data to be used for an algorithm. So I'm going to go into an example that will touch on.
Okay.
You guys see here, this is a tool that the company developed. And this tool is concentrating on non-small cell lung cancer. Now, you can imagine cancer is this huge, outcome thing, forever trying to figure out that. So then you say lung cancer, and that's straight to liver. And non-small cell lung cancer straight to liver. And still within non-small cell lung cancer, there's stage 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stage 2 is the most difficult. That's where the most non-small cell lung cancer patients today are in stage 2. And stage 2 is the one that we really going to test. However, we are looking at all stages because what you find in one stage may be required to again go back to the gentleman's point again about having that such a large, you don't know it, if you dive into a large domain, and you have to constantly shrink and never go in.
I'm just curious what criteria you use to decide which data to include in the algorithm analysis, because there's so much potential use.
Oh yes, there is. A little personal story. My mother passed of lung cancer in 2014, and so I looked at that and said, what did I could have done or noticed that could have helped in getting my mother the right treatment or understanding treatment options? Then I thought, well, I'm a scientist, I'm a data guy. Is there something in the data that can help me figure this out? Is there someone out there doing research to help us figure that out? And so, in understanding that, that's why I shrunk that universe down. But then, we talked earlier about having that subject matter expert in that domain. And so we partnered with the University of Chicago and fantastic practicing oncologist and professor to help us understand what type of questions we need to activate. Of course, I'm not an oncologist. I have no idea. I could probably think of something, but then if I don't know the question to ask, what data do I know? So, understanding, working with the University of Chicago oncologist, help us understand what kind of questions you want to activate. Then help us understand what data we need to get. We'll get to that in a minute. And so, what we talked about earlier, the information architecture, different data preparation processes, parts of the process. Now, in this video, we'll walk you through what we did. First of all, we found the data from various relevant sources. We're going to talk about those relevant sources in a minute. Then we went to try to understand what data is ready to be consumed, what data is in a good state that we can use, and what data do we need to put some sort of structure in a way that we can use and determine, of course, the gaps. Then we went and said, okay, after we have that understanding, let's build a common ontology which we base these particular data on, and to understand what kind of control vocabulary we can leverage to help tag our content, unstructured data that's part of our repository. All that came into now the data classification and standardization stage. Once we did that, we were able to then map all that data to a common ontology. And that common ontology enables us to transform that data and have it ready to then model the algorithm. I don't even know what type of algorithm I need. First of all, I got to understand what questions am I asking them. Right? So this is what we did. Start with specific questions to be answered. So what is the health trajectory of patients with non-small cell lung cancer? So one of the things, since we wanted to know that, we need to build some kind of health trajectory analysis. And we have to have data that talks about health trajectory of patients with non-small cell lung cancer. See now, we narrow that scope of the data. And what treatments are most effective? We're going to find out what treatments are most effective for non-small cell lung cancer at the various stages. Because there's 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could start our training maybe with stage 2. We don't have to start with all stages. But again, let's shrink the data. Look at the gentleman's point again with that. We basically trying to do this. Like, oh my God, that's a lot. I'm constantly, I'm trying to get something managed. What specific genomic and environmental factors? Aha! Now we just put a whole nother layer on this.
The important difference was that this is all trying to extract facts out of subjective information, whereas what they were trying to do is just catalog and turn into a taxonomy of language.
And that's
a little easier to do this thing. I mean, it's just a few problem, power problem, time. Whereas this, you can't necessarily have a right answer to it. Doing the best you can to get the
right. And that's what you do that, that's what determines the algorithm. So keep it back in mind. So when we talk about, we want to answer because of the genomic factors. Medicine today is more personal, right? What a doctor gives to me for something that someone else has is very similar, may be different. And so, especially for cancer, we're finding better treatments, and you hear them on TV all the time. You may even, because my ear is trained to hear non-small cell lung cancer, and if I see a commercial that comes up, I'm like, what are they talking about? And so, it helps personalize, understand that person's particular situation to be able to structure treatment for that individual. Even though that individual may even fit into a pool of people because there's so many cases of cancer being diagnosed every year for that. And, this is the big one here, how can the data be to detecting the cancer early? And those questions, this is the data. When you have nothing to do, kind of kick it back, or look up the National Cancer Database, or the National Cancer Institute Data Catalog, or the National Library of Medicine Clinical Data Trial Database, and just see how massive and the variety of information the data they have. Now, this first one, National Cancer Database, only selected research universities have access to. You can get information about it, but you have to have access to. The catalog, the trial database has some free information and it's for research. And so, taking that same process, we try to hone in some of the data. This is a sample of the data. This is the National Cancer Database. And one of these things talk about cancer mortality rate. You want to know the effect on cancer and typically treatment options and things like that. What was interesting to me is that some of the data talk about median family income and level of education. Why would you think they would have that? Exactly. But you know, in the U.S., in particular, if you are affluent, you will have certain level of health care. If you are more educated, you may take the time to research and look at treatment options. And so you're going to affect these numbers on the side, the mortality rate. You find that you have cancer, oh, I'm going to hit the research, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, hire my cousin who was an oncology specialist. He started with all these things that other people may not have access to. So this is what that is about. It's we collect those some information in the National Cancer Database. Now, in the National Cancer Institute data catalog, you can see that there's something on the side. These actual links to more reports. So that's the unstructured data. However, you see here that it is also tagged with some variables, and variable descriptors. So we start to collect some metadata. And now the National Library of Medicine Clinical Trial Database, this is like the jackpot. Not only do we have clinical trial information, but we have images. And those images and clinical trial information have a wealth of details about it, which we have to capture. So this is started to, we start to look at, this is a variety of data. Now the variety of data adds to the richness of your training of your algorithm. So your algorithm could be that more accurate. Because what the algorithm would do is the cluster analysis to see how many things are in this particular cluster. So you do analysis here, you do anomaly detection, what are some of the outliers that you didn't notice before. But who can even take advantage of that information? Are the people who are subject matter experts for that domain? I can't. I just can provide it, right? So the oncologist will have to look at that and say, oh, this is good. This is stuff we don't know. And how do we know if we even have the right information? It's because we will use training data from already diagnosed patients, trial information has already been proven, so we can see how accurate it is. Most algorithms are around 80% accurate. We were trying to go to 85, 90%. That's a huge undertaking. And so, but that is one of the issues in this science. So, this is a bunch of stuff. In our tool, we answered the question, right? So our data audit was based on these questions and understanding they're not data that we identified, did it fit in these areas? Because these resources provided a cross-section of information, we were able to pull from each resource things that align with these questions. And so we looked at this, we get samples. We only need samples to train and then figure out what we need to do to prepare the data to get it up into an adjustable shape. And so I'll go back a minute. Early on I talked about tools like IBM Watson Studio. You can bring in data into into that studio and do a lot of the data prep work within that studio, but you have to understand information architecture in a way that, oh, I need to organize this, I need to label this. Now, for data analysis, you want to understand the constant relationship between all that data and a controlled vocabulary. And so what we did was develop an ontology for non-small cell lung cancer. Now that in itself was difficult because the board, and let me do the board, so look up some information. Go into these. Let me see if I can. Do you have any of that? Can I? Is this showing you? Oh. All right. That's the first there. Now you can see this is available data, and we look at the visualization of this data. This is all available. Now we took these sources and we brought them together. And so you can look at in this particular example, you have non-small cell lung cancer, but you know it has these other relationships. And if I go back to this source, we want to look at the queries under here for the physicians specifically, with the physicians report. And we see there's another ontology there. And this information on the left-hand side gives us categories in which to build out an ontology that will cover all of the cancer data. Then we look at, okay, the human disease ontology. All of these ontologies, the relationships, helped us to build out what we need. And so you guys, I think, kind of get where we have to do this visualization piece that comes with this. Again, right here, you just trace the node. A lot of information. This is a huge repository of information. And same here on biological concepts. Biological concepts allows us to validate our nodes or our higher level terms within our ontology. So that's the other thing that we look at. This also has visualization tied to it. That just gives an idea of what we had to do to build out our stuff. Again, I got my IA hat on. I understand relationships between data, building out this ontology, understanding these concepts, getting validation for these concepts on medical sites that deal with that domain. So that's what we have to dive into. We have, now this is very early on sample. Now I can search for it, I can pull it up. And so this is the beginning of our ontology. We're going to start with a really cool non-small cell lung cancer, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. And so we start to build our ontology out. And so this is not the final one, but I wanted to give you guys a picture of what we had to do with all of the available ontologies and had to do a mashup and come up with our own that addresses those questions. And this is several years ago. But we had folks that understand information architecture from a data perspective in order to build that front-end piece out so so we can move. Now with that in mind, let's take a. Okay, so for loop up algorithm, what we use is a deep learning supervised algorithm. What does that mean? Supervised and unsupervised. Supervised has labels. And you saw all the information we had, the data samples had labels, like locality, weight, and income. We saw the labels on the ontology piece, a lot of details about the term. So that's why we say we can use a supervised algorithm. How do we use a deep learning? Deep learning because we want to understand the anomalies in the data. We don't know what we're going to find. But based on this question, we're going to answer it. A deep learning algorithm provides you with a anomaly detection, predictive anomaly detection. And search the patterns within the labels. And we use a condensed training set in order to train these algorithms. And it's based on Bayes probability theory. So it's I think some of the different things we were doing was the fact that we did deep learning, and we also, I don't know if you guys may have thought about this, but one of the things we did was use some text mining techniques to understand how to drill down and understand what was in those clinical trial data, help build out metadata. If you do text analysis, you can see what data is staying done. You can have to do the word cloud, you have to see what words kind of gravitate to those goals. Text analytics goes in and see what terms that are really more prevalent. Use that. So conclusion and
what tool did you use for the text analysis?
excuse me?
What tool did you use for your parents?
We used, I know the Microsoft Azure platform has a text analytics program. And we started using, Excel has a plugin for text analysis, but for analyzing, preparing data. And so, it was kind of a combination between the Microsoft product and the Excel product. We use that. And we use, you guys familiar with a product called Concept Search? The Concept Search is a tool that actually will go and crawl content and come up with terms. And so concept searching was something that we dabbled in understanding initially how to do that. And there's some specific text mining tools that you can use. So this is some of the things we ran into. Structure representation, aggregating and transforming data, and we wanted to be able to extract the value from the data, but we need a systematic process to do it. Of course, the preparation is the semi-structured data. That's a particular note to remember that a lot of this is done to be able to get it done faster, and efficiently, and consistently. And so the other thing that we started to build out, and we haven't done this yet, we have a prototype of it, is actually the visual aspect. Because when I always like to talk about IA, it's from data analytics to content visualization. Now we're on the data analytics side, but now we're moving to the content visualization, the place where we want, we all know and love. What stuff are we going to prepare for the user to look at? And so we've only got as far as the prototype, as far as the visualization piece. The one thing to walk away with that IA experience shows this is another opportunity to get into machine learning, data analytics, data preparation, or we call it data wrangling. I call it data preparation, data prep. Those pieces that we know how to deal with to even prepare the algorithm. So, any questions?
I guess the question that I had was, is this research aimed at better informed medical practice, or better informed public citizenry engagement with clinical practitioners?
It was primarily for the medical practitioner, so they can diagnose and treat cancer better. However, you got a good point. If it is communicated to the patient, that was the patient more, empowered to say, hey, I know it's available. I need to be more forthcoming with the information that I have about what my treatments are. Because a lot of times we don't like to say everything that's on, but be more conversant with the doctor to say, so they'll know more, so they can, because it's plugging the data points. So to me, that question really begs to that relationship between doctor and patient.
Yeah, it just seems like, I'm not certain of this, but my guess would be that the project you created to better inform practitioners about how to go about treating disease was not prepared to be very useful for compiling an approach to information display that would bring patients the information that brings them to the practitioners.
Yeah, so
frequency or
right, so that begs a different outcome. So one outcome is for the subject matter expert to be able to dive into the data and diagnose. And then another one is more user friendly to say, this is your profile. Sort of thing. Because a lot of stuff, reports that we get from the doctor, that data can lead to profile analysis that speaks to that patient. Summarize and skinny it down so it be consumable instead of busting it out, some clustering analysis and things like that.
I could envision a login for university hospital at some point in the future, and when you get your login, do something like the authenticated, and you do the data analysis, send that through, and then the login operates all this all the information you might want to be apprised of.
Well, some of the clinical trials now require, some of them that are coming out, the one product thing is talking about with GDRF. It's not to be intrusive into your life, because as research indicated, you are a unique individual. Type 1 diabetes affects each kid, each person individually. So what you have is, for example, how we got involved with John Jr., my nurse doctor. And like Tony said, we sit in this room with these doctors, and I actually had a doctor tell me, so when it's started, we feel we're working on this, and it's not just all over the shoulder and back on diabetes. So what we're doing is you have to educate the people you frame the questions. We found out in this situation, we had to educate me as a father of type 1 diabetic, had to educate the practitioners of our perspective of having diabetes with this addiction. So it kind of goes back and forth to where is it now the chicken or the egg decision? Because now we're bringing data in that allows you to understand as a doctor what are the telltale signs. Why now are most people with type 1 diabetes being diagnosed after the age of 19? So those of you who do not remember GDRF, states the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund, they just call it GDRF because there's more people over 21 diabetes